Hey, here's another Ask Me Anything. We haven't had one for a couple of months because I've had no questions coming in. But we've had a couple come in now, so I'm gonna attempt to answer those as best I can. The first one is relating to a bit of a challenge that somebody had about they're a freelance trainer and they've been asked to put together a course for a client that in their opinion, was trying to cover way too much. So am I mad? Should I be able to cover all of this? Is it too much? What's your advice really? And at first glance, yes, there was definitely too much in there for a 1 day course. If you want to do those topics in, give them any sort of justice. Because as someone who writes bite-sized training, what I've learned is that when you only have a short amount of time to cover a topic, you can do one of two things with it. You can either just give a very brief overview, so top line of the whole thing, and then maybe signpost some other resources, or you can do one thing within that topic and do it to a reasonable level. So that's not the first option actually. The first piece of advice was to push back, to say, there's an awful lot there, and if we want to bring about any change, we need to think about doing this differently. So, is there an option, say for example, to turn this into 5 half-day sessions where we can actually do something with it and link it all together, which would be a far more effective training solution. And I think the other thing, if that's not an option, because often it isn't because of budgets and timing and all the rest of it, is to just go back to the client and say, it's a brilliant list of topics that you've given me here that you want covering, but what's the aim? And this, when I teach people how to design training, I say that is always the thing you need to start with. So why are we doing this training? Can we get this into one compelling sentence, the reason why people need to do this training? So let's clarify what that is, and then that will inform how we're going to focus the rest of that session, bearing in mind those topics, because it may be that out of all those topics that they requested, we perhaps need to spend a lot of time on two of them, and we can just sort of dip into the other three, and it will still achieve its aim. So yeah, push back, clarify the aim. You can either whistle stop tour all of the topics and provide lots of signposts for people to do, or the other creative thing that you could do, because I love a case study, is to write quite a detailed case study. So present a scenario to the group, pull out all of the issues that this person is facing, which you will magically make link to the topics that the clients want covering. Say, so this person is having these difficulties, and any or all of these things might be in play. Then split them into groups and say, so if this is the problem, um, you know, tell us a little bit about it and what this person might be able to do to put it right. So they are teaching themselves, but we would need to obviously signpost resources for them. So it depends on the maturity of the group, and it depends on how comfortable the client is with that approach. But then obviously that would be the morning, really, wouldn't it? So we present the case, then they all go away in groups. They say, if this is the problem, these are things people need to be aware of, and this is how we can tackle them. And then in the afternoon, they would teach each other. So that's the other way that you could do that one, I think. Hope that was helpful. The second question is how to lighten a heavy day. So sometimes we are asked to train quite heavy topics, quite difficult topics, quite serious topics. Um, and we all notice that, they are quite difficult emotionally to deal with. They can drain the energy in the room. So how do we keep people, with us and, fully focused on that training when it can be quite a tricky topic? Now, we don't want to trivialize the gravity of the topic that we're covering, of course. So we can't just be throwing in funny exercises and icebreakers randomly, because that's going to just change the whole feel of the thing. And there's a danger that people will remember this weird exercise that they did with, Play-Doh and not remember the reason that they attended that course. So be very mindful about throwing in fun activities for the sake of it. Yeah, I'm not saying absolutely don't do it, but I'm saying use that with caution. There are lots of things that we can do, though, that will help to keep the engagement high, that will keep the energy flowing, I think. And it's about changing things. So, what can we change in this course? There's a tendency with heavy courses, they tend to be quite discussion based. Understandably, because there's lots of things to unpack. So let's think about how we can change up the methods. So instead of just having discussions and group work, can you use a quick poll? So, quick fire quiz. But based on everything that we've discovered, what would you do? A, B, C. So just quick fire quiz. You can use post-it notes. You can use flip charts, get people moving around, just to get them out of their seats. Would be quite a way of doing that. We can change the pace. So we have quite an in-depth case study based discussion, lots of thinking going on, and then we do a quick fire exercise, maybe throw in a card sort or something like that, that you can just do in 10 minutes. And the answers aren't that important, but the fact is they're still thinking on that subject, but they're out of their seats and they're doing it in a different way. You can change location. So get them out of the room. If it's a nice day, give them a challenge. Say, right, you've got 25 minutes, go and grab a coffee, form yourself into pairs, have a little walk around, and when you come back, I want you to have thought about these 3 questions. So that is a great way to lighten the mood, I think, getting people outside, a bit of exercise, a bit of sunshine, or even if the weather's awful, just send them to the canteen coffee area. Just change their location. That can help. Change perspective as well. So when we're dealing with heavy subjects, so this one was to do with redundancies, and we look at it a lot from the manager's point of view. Let's look at it from other perspectives. Let's just throw in maybe a perceptual positioning exercise, or just, a case study from the opposite perspective. And that can, break that habit of, oh, this is a hard topic, isn't it? It's just about breaking the method, breaking the state, breaking the mood, breaking the pace. So there's lots of things that we can do. And the other things I would urge you to look at is we can use props. So again, it doesn't trivialize props or materials. So, I love picture cards. So let's use picture cards to draw out our thoughts on a discussion, or maybe think about how people might feel. Why not doodle something, create a drawing? People don't need to be good. And you can do that virtually, of course, as well. You can use Lego or something like this, where you're still grappling with quite serious questions, but we're doing it in a more creative way. And I do urge you to look at the Liberating Structures website as well. So depending on the length of your day, Liberating Structures can give you a whole range of engaging and inclusive exercises that would work well when you're tackling heavier topics. So 3 that came to mind was TRIZ. So look up TRIZ on the Liberating Structures website. A 1, 2, 4 all can be a really great exercise to do at the end of the day, or even at the start of the day. And something like 15% solutions will be a great way to end your course as well, because we've spent a lot of time thinking about, all the challenges that this topic represents, and then let's focus on the small changes or the small actions that we can make that will really make a decision. Sorry, not really make a decision, that will really make a difference to the whole way that session is landing with people. So that's the Ask Me Anything this time. So 2 questions. What do I do when I'm asked to put too much into a training session? And how can I lighten a quite heavy training session? So keep your questions coming in. I'll record another one of these videos when I get more questions. So maybe in around a month, maybe closer to 2 months. But I am here to help you. So yeah, just let me know, and hope those ideas will help you.